All right, thank you all for coming in today, and welcome to another day of the DQ to Meet Your Design School series. And today we've invited um, UID. All right, UID is one of the top design schools, the private design schools uh, in India. And what happened is, so last week when I did a webinar with a lot of my students and parents, and quite a few of them had applied to UID, and they wanted more details about the school. And of course, I did as much as I could, but post that, what happened is, I said, why don't I reach out to the management and get them to come here and answer your questions. All right. So we had a lot of parents and students who had a lot of questions, and so I'm very happy that I was able to get Colonel Bose. All right. So Colonel Bose, welcome to this
Yeah,
session, and thank you, Gopal, for making this happen. Right.
thank you so much.
Yeah, Colonel Bose is the absolute head of academics at UID. All right. Since most of your questions are related to the academics, to the structure, to the GDP program, to the BDES program, I figured it would be very important to have Colonel Bose here. He would answer your questions directly. And for any admission related queries, of course, I think Gopal could be able to handle it, or Colonel Bose also would be able to see. But overall, thank you all for coming in, and we hope that your questions are going to be answered today. Please feel free to ask your questions. This is your opportunity. You've got the top person in the college here, and this is your opportunity to ask questions. Please be candid. Please ask whatever you want, because this is the opportunity. You need to make a decision by the 11th um, of this month. So um, you need to be absolutely convinced if you are considering the school, right? So please go ahead, Colonel Bose. Over to
Yeah,
you. I think we have some trouble with the sound, but please. So when you play a video, we may have some trouble with the sound, but let's try to make up for that.
okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm sure everyone is keeping safe. And we know these are some of trying times around us. But any institution, and I think Dion played a little bit on the private institution. We are a proper UGC approved institution in the private university column. But the rules for any UGC which apply across India are the same applied to us. The structure with vice chancellor, pro vice chancellor, board of study, great governing council, and academic advisory council, and spread over 4 or 5 schools. In that sense, when we see that we had to move immediately after thinking of 22 centers for doing our entrance exam, it is our resilience and technological prowess that we immediately moved into WAC, one of the world's largest, what is called proctored examination system. So the DAT followed by the PE, that is a 3-tier examination system. And if I'm not wrong, we had some of the largest numbers who took the test in a different medium altogether, and some wonderful students. We're amazed, really amazed with how creativity flows in some of our students, and most who entered in the BE and then were all shortlisted. What I'm trying to do today is give a little bit of an exposure how from March 20 we have moved in so many areas, whether it is technology, whether it's setting up infrastructure, in setting up systems, to be seen as the topmost design school in India. I'll take you through a short presentation due to the fact of some glitch in the system of sound. You'll generally get a sense, and I'm open to any questions you may have. It would have been better if you would have seen if you heard those videos, but let me give you a sense. And then on the chat box present also our new brochure, which is in a link, and you can see anything over and above what transpires today. Please be free with your questions. It can be taken on an audio way, or it can be through the chat box. Let me thank you for spending time in some places, very hot afternoon, in some places, maybe a better atmosphere around, and in a situation where we are not in the best of things, but humanity, resilience, it's something which I'm sure will pass very soon, and we'll get back to normality. So let me present you a little bit on how UID is looking at its design innovation, how we are integrating tech and design by having some of the best centers of excellence of infrastructure as well as software, as well as trying to move design, if not one, at least two steps ahead, at par with the best universities, best institutions, not only in India, but globally. Gopal, tell me when you can see this. Can you see this?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. So in today's presentation, I'm going to quickly take you through the power of integrating design with learning. It is to do with making our students relevant for Industry 4.0, because the interaction design, UI, UX, the cutting edge of technology is where we prepare our students for. And I'll give you a short, small understanding of that. If you see on screen is 2012 when we came up to being. That is Kumar Vyas, the person who led NID. He's lighting our lamp and putting our first block for UID to start. And what a way we have come from somewhere around 90 students to nearly about 2,300 students on our rolls as of today. I'll talk less about design, but talk more at asking and solving some of the questions you may have. Some of it you may find it in this presentation, but I'm most welcome to send any aspect of clarification you may like to. Now, when you have to take such a big decision of what to expect from a design school, you expect that it is as per the law of the land, structured well, with number of great faculty, all the faculties of design, and its connect with the world, inspiring campus, wonderful workspaces, maker arenas, and a good mix of a curriculum which is futuristic, good number of eminent people coming to class, a wonderful placement record, and of course, its internationality. So this is how we have, you may not be able to hear it, but see it, how we have integrated science, technology with UID.
Right. For those of you who are mentioning that you cannot hear the sound, we have a technical issue which we were not able to resolve. Um, so I think it's a issue with this particular platform, the GoToWebinar platform. So we'll have to manage. Apologies for that, but we'll have to manage without the sound for this particular one. But we'll probably ask them if they have this the link uploaded anywhere to these videos. If it's there, we'll share it in the chat so y'all can watch this at a later stage, or y'all can also go to DQ Edge and we'll upload it on the DQ Edge page, which has information about UID, and we can share it there as well.
So I'm apologetic that you couldn't hear it or the background, but I think we'll put it on our DQ. We'll be able to send it to all of you along with the latest brochure so that you can have a look at the type of changes we have made to get to the cutting edge, real high-tech cutting edge. Because we know design is all about doing, making some wonderful products, services, and experiences. And at the end of it all is innovation, improvisation, creating, which comes only from science and technology. So today, I don't need to emphasize, you have taken a conscious decision to look at the creative industries of tomorrow. We find similar strategies, trends across the world. People from law, design, outside design, science, mechanical engineers, doctors, many others at various stages thinking that then their future lies in design and areas around design. And some of the greatest proponents of design, whether it's Tim Brown, whether it's from the frog design thinking has now become a strategic tool for problem solving across various strata of organizations. Now, you will come and join UID if that is your choice. And we look at how do we make you into a designer. There are checks and balances that your design curriculum starts 2 years back. It goes through various people, it goes through industry body, and these are structured forms that certain number of people of that design are part of the body which looks at the curriculum. Once the curriculum is made, the faculty who deliver it. Once the faculty is there, the faculty development. So when we brought Blackboard, which is one of the best LMSs of the world, there were at least 40 days of faculty training. Even today, YouTube's training material and training from USA, from Australia, from Singapore keeps happening that so that the technologies of pedagogy, how student experience is enhanced through a different platform, through synchronous, asynchronous classes. That's how we bring what is called a wonderful student experience. Now, in education, we see that there are design tools, there's design knowledge, and then there's design process. And these three are interspersed when we start the foundation, which is a very transdisciplinary foundation. It's quite a thought how there is connectivity. Now, let's say you are a product designer and you have launched your company, but you have to know packaging, you have to know how it is to be sold, you have to know some wonderful ways of how the outer layer. So you have got little bit to know about visual communication graphics. It's so important for someone. Similarly, for a fashion designer, how are they going to move their websites? How are they going to move their brochures? So this is the way the future of design is looking like, the future workspace is looking like. So we brought that the whole year is a transdisciplinary design education. And gradually from the third year, from the third semester, second year, you get into your avowed fields. When you look at design knowledge, it is through meticulously gathered, researched information. Now, very few other design streams, very few other streams follow this process of experiential learning, project-based learning. And how have we done it? Because Blackboard allows you to open out various rooms. You can work in teams, you can load your material, people can discuss amongst each other, which is quite different from just a Zoom class or a Google Meet class. And the core of design is the design process. That is where you are constantly mentored on improving your thought process. Today, design process is called design thinking, but design process is the core of design. So when we go for making our curriculum, we look what is the way the world is going to look when you pass out. What is transdisciplinary learning? The world is looking like as a T-shaped worker who has a spine of a particular discipline but has general awareness of all other disciplines to succeed. A cognitive management, virtual collaboration. And when we look at that, we also look what the World Economic Forum is telling us, that how the workspace is going to change. Analytical thinking, synthesis, innovation, leadership and social influences, looking at how sustainability, SDG goals are going to be there. So the projects on sustainability are part and parcel of your foundation. They are part of various other foundations. Students today are taking part in so many design challenges and the amount of awards they are winning. Currently, they are undertaking with the Coventry University in UK, where at least 25 groups of students are matching their skills with a world of school from other design schools. So while we make you a global designer, global thought, person who thinks on area, but these are things of the century skills, the skills of 2025, which are imbued and put into your curriculum. So when we moved forward into a very blended learning, we went for Blackboard Learn, which gives you all, it quite a lot mimics what would have been an actual classroom. All the class material, flipped classrooms are uploaded on Blackboard Learn, and we have the Blackboard Learn Ultra. Blackboard Collaborate is how your daily classes happen from 9 to 5. There are areas when students were in campus from from January, February, and March this year. Unfortunately, we had to go back because of this surge. But I'm sure once things cool down a bit, we'll again have them to go through an entire process of how learning happens. And maybe this is the way we will move from online to blended to digital to physical, and this will carry on for some time before we're exactly very sure that it will be back to campus. So there are a few videos, but what I wanted, unfortunately, you couldn't see it, but the aim is that to look at how we are training students to be ready for Industry 4.0, how IoT, how AI, how machine learning, how these become part of your of a student's, let's say, workbook, playbook, coursework, so that they are aware and they can meet these challenges when they go into the industry. So since Dion has said he'll share it, I'm sure you'll be able to see this whole presentation. But let's go to the various courses which we are having. You would have received your choices, you would have had your choice. The School of Interior Design looks at interior and furniture design at the undergraduate level. Communication is visual communication, graphics, and animation, motion graphics. There's fashion design, lifestyle accessory design. There's automobile interaction design and product design. And the next is about the global design. Now, it is a wonderful video, but it is a little bit short if you can't get the sound. I'll play it a bit just to get a sense on how the global design program is making inroads into people, that it is already such a lot of it is being talked about. So in the global design, the first year is a very transitory foundation year. And every year, in the second year, you are in Australia, in the third year, you're in Italy, and the fourth year, you're in UK. I've got a separate package for all the questions on global design, when they are going to go, what is the type of training, how can they take a major, and it is the same thing, what is the trend, and we prepare the student to meet and to be as good as a student. So for example, I'm a student of UID and I'm going to Swinburne Institute of Technology in Melbourne in the year 2, the second half. You are going to there as a student. So for those 14 weeks, you are as good as a student. You have got the student unique identity, you have the student identity card, you stay in the student halls of residence, you attend all what is there in you, you attend the design factory. Design factories, I think very few institutions across the world have design factories. You get into the makerspace, you're part of a project with with a multicultural, multinational classroom taught by teachers who are from various countries. That is the power of getting into the global design program. So you can choose a major and your interdisciplinary projects. It teaches you how various aspects are taken into consideration. There's a mentor, there's a mentee, and then you become a critical thinker. You look at interdisciplinary spaces, and this is the way you go from each year to each semester. NABA Milan, Nottingham Trent, and then your graduation project is a culmination, so that your final exam, you are as good as any other designer across any part of the world. So not only in tech, high tech, but UID has got some of the amazing workshops, whether it's metal, whether it is wood, whether it is craft. We have what is called the craft innovation cell. A number of foreigners till March would come from different countries and work with clusters, with projects, which take them to villages, whether it's Bhuj, whether it is other places, Patan, and they work with craftsmen. There's something which they're missing in their own countries. There's something which is so important for a designer of today, that they know they don't lose track with their roots. And there's some amazing innovations which can be brought, as whether it's in jewelry, whether it's ceramics, whether it's in wood. So that is the type of hands-on experience you get when you come to UI. So there's not a single area or single infrastructure which we haven't put in place. We have a CSD, that's the Career Services Department, which looks at improving your portfolio, makes your LOR, makes you ready if you want to go abroad, makes your portfolio ready year on year end, does a proper audit before you are allowed to sit or go for your final internship or your final project work, which is the portfolio. Uh, these are some which you would have seen otherwise, so I'm just skipping them. This is in spite of a year of COVID. These are our students have got some fantastic placements. I'll share those details with Dion, and he can share with parents if they want. And you can talk to a few students where they have gone into Capgemini, Accenture, Deloitte, Walt Disney, uh, Manish Malhotra, Rahul Mishra, Arvind, and few. This is the 2020 batch, and few, about nearly 71 of this batch were already placed 3 months back when they were finishing their internships, and more now as they move into their final projects. But some of the better news is that we also train you to be entrepreneurs. So Karnavati has tied up with iHub, where we look at patents, we look at IPR, we look at startup collaboration, collabs, and these are some of the fantastic student work which have received Atal funding and have received the second level of funding for being seen as startup coming out of the UID stable. Here are just a few of them. We also do a lot of projects with foreign universities. Now, with Instituto Modatech, we took Vespa as an inspiration and denim aspiration. Uh, Unfortunately, they didn't go at the final stage with the Milan Fashion Week. Milan is the capital, one of the fashion capitals of the world, because after March, we couldn't ship the equipment at both ends. Students worked on it from both sides of the aisle, as they say. Indian students as well as students from Milan. But ultimately, it just became a book which was showcased and read out at the Milan Week, but the construction didn't happen. We have just finished few rounds of discussions for the next project, which we are going to launch with a number of international universities. So we have what is called the KU Global, which gives summer school scholarships, projects, uh, facilitates masters abroad, conducts faculty of international universities to come to campus. Every year, 60 to 70 students are there doing their masters abroad in some of the top, whether it's RISD, whether it's CAD, whether it's Domus Academy, Coventry, Nottingham Trent. These are some of the places our students go to do their masters. We organize as best the dean's type of scholarship we can get for them. We're also members of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, members of AIU, because we are a proper university. We are members of ADI and some of the top world organizations. So I'm not going to how whatever more we need to talk, but I'm open to certain number of questions from you regarding any aspect. UID is fully a whole university which has every aspect, which has looked itself inside, whether it's curriculum, whether getting the best people, the master classes, some amazing master classes by all our foreign partners throughout the year, projects, CSR. You'll be glad to know that today we have at Karnavati University in the other campus, we have set up a 150 bed hospital along with oxygen, along with, and we are also feeding another 1,000 bed nearby hospital as part of our CSR Heal the World. And this is, I'm in campus, and the main people are in campus looking at how we can improve our infrastructure, how we can look at every aspect of design as a responsible design school, which is looking to be and thinking to it to be the best design school in India, if not Southeast Asia. There's another video on life, and I'm sure this life is not very far that we'll get back to it. And this is something which is life at UID and what we do as global events every year. The last was in February 2020. That's called the Ahmedabad Design Week. We had participation of all the IITs, NIDs, now great thought leaders. Last time was in the virtual mode. This year, And these are some of the extracurricular events which we have at UID. So, Gopal, if you can, anyone would like to ask a question, I'm open to anything
All right.
anyone may. Yeah, and
Fantastic.
yeah.
Thank you, Colonel Bose. This is very interesting to know about the school. There are a few questions coming in. Um, so Yashvi Raval is asking, how do we apply for BDES programs at UID? I think the BDES regular admission process, the BDES, the applications have closed, but the NRA option is open, right?
Option is open. Yeah, NRA options are open.
So in
I've
the
shared
month
the
of
link with
June,
you also.
July, it is through a portfolio evaluation, and
Exactly.
there is there's an application, and they'll be told when through a online process we can have an interaction, which is a portfolio evaluation, and that is the way for NRI. Am I right, Gopal?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
since the admission this thing is open, so I've already shared the link with you, sir. So you can probably share this with Yashvi at any point of time. I've shared it
Sure.
personally on your WhatsApp.
All right. But I think is it the same link as earlier, or is it a different link? Because
No,
this is on TQH.
this is a different link that I've shared with you.
This is a different link. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So then,
So it will directly
so
redirect you to our website where the NRI platform is there. So it will
all right.
directly
All
take you
right.
there.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to share this in the link right now. Entire audience. Right. So I've shared a link. What I'm going to do is after this webinar, I'm going to update it here. So once you click here, you will get access to that. All right. So Colonel Post, once he shares the links with me, I'm going to share those links here as well. All right.
Yeah, so I've just shared the link of our brochure. If you can see HSTP online, which I've shared here. So you can share it with the student. They can have a look at the latest brochure of, and a lot of answers
Oh,
would be there in the brochure.
okay. One second. You've shared the link with me directly, right?
In the chat box, I've
In
placed
the
it
chat.
here.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. Yes.
yeah.
So I hope you all can see that. All right. This is the latest brochure. All right. All right. Cool. So yeah, so we'll go down to the next questions. All right. I wanted to know more about the internship programs. This is a question from Siddharth Kulkarni.
Okay, Siddharth.
And one second, if I can also
Yeah,
add here, he's got an add-on question, which is about the cost of the foreign programs, the GDP.
yeah. So let me finish the internships, then I will come to the part which is Gopal. Will you answer the 28 lakh, the cost of it? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So is there anything? So internship is something which is part and parcel of design education. You can look at it in 3 or 4 phases. A proper structured internship is anything between 10 to 12 to 16 weeks of learning in a particular semester. And this is in a 8 semester undergraduate course. The 7th semester is dedicated for internship. Some of the design disciplines require a larger, some require slightly less. The curriculum is so made that at least it is for 10 to 12 weeks. Sometimes they extend to 16 weeks in the case of interior because their architectural houses want a much more dedicated and deep understanding. The best thing is if your internship and you do the final project in the same company and you get absorbed in the same company. That's the best. But design being so hands-on, so much to do with materiality, design thinking, hands-on work. So at each of the summer vacations, students are facilitated to go and work with the industry. Some have connects, so they go and work in their industries where it is within the family or outside the family. But the career services department organizes summer internships at the end between your first year and second year, between your second year and the third year. Between the third and fourth, in the first part of the fourth year is where the internships are. This is as far as the internships is concerned. As far as the global design program, I have actually made a full chapter on every aspect, which I'm going to share with Dion, because there are questions sometimes on the global design program. This is for everyone's knowledge that why did we go for global design, and why is it that in design no one else thought about it? INSEAD thinks about it, IIMs think about it, certain MBA schools think about it, where you spend time in three different worlds, three different countries, continents to get to know, because tomorrow you are going to be in a space where you will have a multinational workforce, or for some time you may have to work as an expat in that country. So you are in a multicultural classroom, you're looking at global practices. In the year two, you are going to Swinburne Institute of Technology, one of the topmost technology institutes in Melbourne. Again, you're back, you do a dedicated major and minor. So there are four major domains which a student can look at: visual communication, graphics, product design, fashion design, and interior design. And it is meant for someone who would like to be at the boundaries of design. So they look at, you can look at a pathway which is, you can choose. You can also look at, when you go abroad, which is the pathway you want to look at, because there again, it is through a major and a minor elective situation. In the third year, you form your elective choice. And so while you have a full major, you can choose from the minors, and your final project is the advanced research-based experience project, which is as good as it is in any international. Now, so let's say you are going for a course in the first year, in the second year, second term, that's in the fourth semester, you're going to Australia. So there are so many seminars which Australians do before you go. They take you through the whole design factory, where you are going to be in a space where there's a maker's arena, the material, and you are teaming with some students from Malaysia, some students from Australia, some students from Europe, and you are there to make something at the end. So all the material comes to you, all the coaching comes to you, your mentors are named, and on a particular day you reach that country after being helped through visa and all those things. You stay in an area where is what's called the dormitory or the student education. On your reaching, you have 2-3 days of the city visit, but also some sort of orientation how the course is going to be. At the same time, other students who are joining, both of you are in a same space. Others within the country are joining on a particular day, on the orientation day. So you are part of that student from the very beginning. At the end, you will get a transcript, you will get a certificate. And when after you graduate, along with other students who graduated that year, an employer will look at all those 6 categories if I showed you, and I can show you again the type of student they want. They want a T-shaped worker. They want someone who has got transdisciplinary skills, who have got cognitive capability. So while looking at the future requirement of designers, we went in for making this program. And what has helped is our international reach, our international connect, and a type of curriculum. So it is not that the curriculum was not discussed in the board of studies or an equivalent at that university, or it took a day and we sent a curriculum. No, students, faculty of both ends sat down to make that curriculum, sat down how to make the timetable, and similarly with other three. So that is the way the global design program was made. It was launched, and maybe that the first time that they have to go in July, they may not be able to go at this point, but we have already moved it to January and moved the third semester learning outcomes here, so that they'll be there in the year 2022, well, hopefully most of this situation. So that type of tensility, agility has been brought up, and it is led by some of the best faculty members, some of who will accompany you at the time when you go into these three countries to settle you down. So that's what the global design program is all about. Gopal, can you tell them what is the fees, and then let's go to the next question.
Sure. Yeah.
Are the
Yeah.
fees
Coming
available on
to,
the website?
Yes, I
yeah,
think
it's
so.
there, it's available, but still I'll give a brief on that. So it's like the
All right.
fees, when coming to the tuition fees, it's 28 lakhs for 4 years. Okay, so that is 3 lakhs 50,000 per semester. So that's 8 semesters. So and that is how it comes to 28 lakhs. And talking about the approximate expenses that you shall incur, when you're traveling for the semesters abroad, that is third, fifth, and seventh semesters. So those would be somewhere around US dollars 1250. That is 1250 per month. This remember, this is an approximate figure, right? So this includes your traveling there, and living expenses.
So, so Gopal, the tuition fee, the material fee has all been paid for as part
Right,
of
right,
the. It is only subsidized stay,
right.
subsidized food, your own out-of-pocket expenses, and your air travel. This is all a student has to be, and we have
Exactly.
calculated that maybe about $30 or $35 is what is they are going to spend by something, snacking, food, etc., outside the purview, and that has been multiplied over 14 weeks or 15 weeks. In between, I'm sure they will have weeks when they visit the country, etc., etc., stay somewhere, because it's a program. Also, you need to be culturally accustomed to a country. So it's not only that you are design has such a lot of connection with culture. It is so much with the art movements of that place. So when you've been there, and been part of an ecosystem of a country, there are many things which are outside the classroom venue, and that's the power of whenever we travel abroad. There's so many things we learn every time. So in design, the perspectives of design, the making philosophies of design, the pedagogy of design, and the type of friends you make when you go there. These are some of the things which went into making the global design.
All right. Um, could you also, Aditi is asking about how about the integrated master's program. How is that different from, say, the BDES program? Like what
Yeah,
is extra there?
yeah. So integrated masters is something which is now gradually, I won't say gold standard, but that is the way people, students across the world are looking for a fast track master. Now, when you do your undergraduate in a foreign country, you end up spending nearly 1,000, 1,200 GBP, 12,000 GBP, 15,000 GBP per year. In Indian terms, it's nearly 45 to 60 lakhs only in the undergraduate. And the postgraduate 2 years, if you look at UK, costs about 18,000 GBP. And the 1 year is 12,000 GBP. So, and one full year adds so much cost. So this is a normal master. Here, you are doing a fast track master, you're saving a year. Number one. Number two, some of the philosophy which is there for BDES also is applicable for integrated masters, because that's a transdisciplinary program. If you look at IIT, IDC, they have a transdisciplinary. You look at any foreign countries, they have an integrated master. The UGC allows you integrated masters. It puts you at बहुत many credits to work at. So it took us a lot. It took us nearly a year to develop the program, to develop the faculty who can deliver this program. It is the only program where you have a credited internship. So during your summer vacations, you are supposed to do one or two projects which are credited, where you'll be mentored. Transdisciplinary nature of the workforce, transdisciplinary nature of the place of work, transdisciplinary nature of the expectations of tomorrow's employers is what goes into the core of this program. It has similarly, initially, it looks at few majors and minors, and then you can have a major to do your final project, and in between you can do many micro specialisms so that you have a whole orbit of many design disciplines as you grow, but they are minors and majors. If you do a A level or if you go in outside, you have major that you are an MBA major in marketing, but also you are HR minor or you are accounts or you are something in that. So on similar lines, the integrated masters develops you a fast track. B, it also develops you should you want to do another master's something abroad, because all the benchmarks of an international curriculum have been taken into this course. There is, if there are further questions, there's enough on the website. There's enough on what we have put as promo material. But Dion is most welcome. If there are 2 or 3 want to, they can meet the course leader, they can meet the HOD, and
Sure.
any discussion we have. But
Sure.
the major areas are internationally benchmarked, puts you for the future of design education. Fast track saves a year's worth of time, energy, and money, and puts you at par with any international.
All right. All right. Um, right. So thank you for answering that. There are a lot more questions coming in, but I'm trying to consolidate the questions. There are quite a few questions regarding the timelines. All right. So now what's happened is the class 12 exams have been delayed. So is the start of the program going to get delayed as well? Number one. Number two is the pandemic has, it looks like people are still going to work from home or study from home right now. So in the fees that you're charging, the hostel fees included. So are students expected to pay that right now?
Okay, so some of it Gopal will be able to answer. Some of it I'll be able to tell from the past year's experience. We were prepared, but we were not prepared to the extent that in March 2020, we could immediately switch over to a learning management system. So it took us some time where we innovated on Zoom, we innovated on Google Meet, we innovated on Microsoft Teams. But within a month, we were able to start a proper LMS, learning management system, which is the nearest replica, and it's quite a costly system. The learning management system is a gold standard across the world because the whole world moved into that. But the moment there was a window, all students came in and they worked for about the first year and the last year. They worked from in January all the way to March, about nearly 2 months of actual dedicated class in the campus. What that did is that they got a real sense of what they were missing, physical, psychological, as well as to do with design. What we sent out is that, yes, in March, things are looking bad, so people went out. We have opened our campus for the year students were going out, opened our campus for the ones who are missed out. Even if they pass out for one full year, the campus 24/7 is going to be open the moment we get a government indication that you can again start a face-to-face campus. So this is to compensate for anything which in design has been missed out by way of online. But things improve that earlier where you couldn't get any material to repurpose some of the designs. So what did fashion do? Some of the material they could send to students, so forms, material, cloth, etc. was sent so that students could make and do in a class exactly as if they're doing in a studio without getting it. So the teacher who had to do a dye, who had to do something from the campus could beam it through the LMS system for students to replicate. Now, it is no one, I cannot for once say that it is the same as what is tactile, what's hand-on, what is how things happen. But if you saw some of my videos, in between we have made the Ultimaker Center of Excellence, 3D. We have made AR/VR Center of Excellence from HP. We have the Felder Total Workshop. So we have, if not 10x, at least by 5x improved all the infrastructure in the campus. Should students come, even our AV lab has a whole Sony editing console, stop motion cameras. The ones if you saw, you'll see in some of the photographs I was addressing when we were having an interaction with the Swinburne team, 6 people, including a vice chancellor, telling our students how they are going to operate, how things are going to happen, what do they expect when they come to Swinburne. Thereafter, we had something with NABA, where the NABA faculty and our students get to know how the preparations are going to be. So anything and anything paid for the last. Now, for the future, Gopal is the best person. But I'll give a sense that since the food, since the hostel was not utilized, all that has got merged into the tuition fee so that if you have not utilized the facility, you're not going to pay for it. Correct. And if it has been paid, it will be adjusted against the next semester. So this is the way we have gone and we have informed so that we cannot be seen as an education institute. We are not in the business of extra. We know that design is a very costly delivery systems, but areas which have not been utilized, there's no way that we are going to charge it. Gopal, you can continue on what are the systems and things.
Yeah, adding to what Bose has said. So it's like we have always maintained that when it comes to hostel, it's always on the basis of first come first serve that happens because KU hosts a list of other courses also along with design. The hostel is fan specific for all the people who are attending various courses in the campus. So, but what we have done this year is that the payment what we will be making for the hostels will be calculated on the pro rata basis from the date we started on we start the session on the campus, right? So whatever it is, it will get adjusted the next year. So that's the thing. But you need to book the hostel on first come first serve basis. Definitely, it will be adjusted.
See, certain things you need to book, certain things you need to anticipate. But one thing I can assure everyone who's listening, at no stage will someone have to pay for anything which has not been utilized or not been used. Whether it's a pro rata deduction or it is a pro rata transfer to the next semester, uh, we were able to get students for nearly 2.5 months when they came to campus and everything was working. I'm sure a similar thing is not very far off. The whole of country is getting together, girding itself how to solve this situation faster. We see a lot of green shoots happening. UK today is looking like a different country. USA is looking like a different country where they have been able to solve. We know there are other issues. We are a big country, etc., etc. But it's not very far that we get back to normality. That's my hope and that's my prayer.
All right. Thank you. Hope that everything gets better here as well.
Yeah.
Right. So Arush is asking, in case someone gets into an NID and they give up a seat, what is the refund policy that you'll have? Yeah.
So Gopal can tell you, but let Gopal say, then I've got some surprise for Arush.
Yeah, Arushi. So the thing is, when you check your offer letter, the point 3 is clearly stated that if you take admission in either or you score an ID on the basis of merit, in either NID Gandhinagar or Ahmedabad, so you are entitled to get a refund of the 1 lakh rupees upfront that you'll be making right now to book those seats. So it's a 100% refund for you guys.
Okay. So I hope that question answers what you had in mind. Um Prachi Jain is asking about interior design. Could you be a little more specific on your question, Prachi? That would be important. All right. I'll move on to the other questions
Can
here.
I just clarify interior, because it's interior
Sure,
and furniture design, yeah?
sure.
If you saw, there was in today's paper, someone got a good prize after NID, interior and furniture design. So interior and furniture design is something with, it's not only with wood, it's also mixed material. It is no reason we went for a complete center of excellence with Felder, which is from Austria, which is one of the best. And you'll see in our videos how we have been able to get some of the best machinery for your, if you are interested and if you are going for interior and furniture design. So make some great innovative furniture, and I'm sure the price is not far off. So we changed the interior from just spatiality, lighting, uh, looking at spaces, to also furniture, which is a very major requirement of interior. So it's an interior and furniture design course, and it has elements of geometry, it's elements of architectonic, it's elements of lot of field work, it's elements of lot of work in the workshops. Because your final project will have to develop some furniture which will look at, but you can also develop models, 3D models of certain spaces, how you look at interiors of buildings, how you look at something where using multi-material to beef up that base. And that's what architects are getting paid for. That's what interior designers are getting paid for. There is hardly any space for a student not getting employed in the area. If you choose interior design, it's one of the best places to be in. Both internships, they score the highest at in the financial projects. There are many sponsored final projects they get, because the Western India is so full of architecture, new drawing, new material, new type of ways of looking at architecture. And the interior designer sits exactly at the same time today. So I leave it to you, but it's a great career aspiration for interior and furniture.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for answering that. Prachi, I hope your question has been answered. Kushi Gupta has asked an interesting question. How would you provide a global exposure without opting for the global program? Meaning, if you take the BDES program, how would you get global exposure?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice question.
So it's a wonderful question, because I think when I say, uh, like, let's say, journalism is the fourth pillar of democracy, internationality is the third pillar of UID. So, how do I prove it to you? I've got 28 MOUs which I showed, where they and their officers come. Some are articulation for a progression to masters. But I have 3 international faculty in campus who have studied abroad, who have brought that international perspective into the classroom. I have master classes. I have projects like the Vespa denim. So you would know Ahmedabad is the denim capital of the world. Like India is the pharmacy capital of the world, floundering a bit today, but tomorrow we will still maintain that the largest number of drugs and let's say certain areas are made in India. So on similar nature, there are a lot of projects. Once travel happens, faculty from abroad come. They stay with us for in our international apartments for doing a module, say a week or 2 weeks. They come for. So we have also tied up with uh, most of these institutions of faculty mobility, faculty research. So there are faculty members who are doing their PhD with a mentor from outside. And sometimes those mentors come and take classes, take workshops. Uh, I'm not sure if you have followed our earlier Instagram, you'll see some classes happening under a tree where there is a foreign faculty taking that class. So, in an institution where you have such, then look at the global thought leader conclave which we have. We started IDC in 2018. We had such a lot of people, some of the top thought leaders who came. Then we had 2020, where the Cumulus had IXDA, they had, and ultimately WDA, in one of these, you saw Srini, and you saw a host of foreign people, and we were talking about future of design. Correct. So these translate into small meetings, larger meetings, and then certain amount of curriculum work gets done where students can participate in projects. So when you saw that 10 students writing, making one of the, in part of my presentation, they were working towards the Vespa denim project. Similar projects are going to be there in SDG with UN, SDG 18, SDG 13 on global issues. Our students, as I said, are participating in the Derby Design Challenge, Coventry University Design Challenge. So through our associations with various world bodies, through their use of some of them coming and taking classes, so you get a total international experience in the classroom, in your coursework, even if you don't get into BDES. A BDES is a physical perspective, a physical curriculum which has been developed by 3 universities sitting with UID. So that's a different kettle of fish. There, those learning outcomes are slightly different from the learning outcomes which you have. But there's enough space, enough time for you to get a global exposure, because ultimately, when I say that every year 60 to 70 of my students are going abroad to their masters at RISD, Parsons, FIT, NTU, that means that they have the confidence, and my course is as good internationally benchmarked with what their cousins and others spend so much time to doing their UG in a foreign country. We always say that do your UG in India and go for masters abroad. And through our connects, we also, so while course in NTU was costing about 12,000 GBP, our student, we got them for 9,000, and also organize a good stay for them. So we work on various fields. We make you ready, your portfolio ready to be international, so that we know who are going for entrepreneurship, who are getting jobs in others, and who are going for masters abroad. Uh, at MIT, it's not MIT, but in Massachusetts, one of our students of 2019 is going for a program. So yesterday I got a call from the pro vice chancellor, because the certain amount they wanted to check about what is the course, and I had to send the curriculum. So we have this international office, we have an international director. So very few institutes will be at par with us in our internationality. That I can assure you.
All right, all right. So, yeah, thanks for that. I think there's one more question on the trend, whether from Meghna Shankar, whether BDES students can go for the international internships, or is it only for the GDP students?
Okay. So if you see, and I don't know, Gopal has told you, 59 lakhs was allocated as summer school scholarship for students of year 1 and year 2. Whoever came first in their section got a free ship. whoever came second got a half scholarship. And we had a budget of 59 lakhs. If you want, I can send that whole master sheet to Dion and he can share. Unfortunately, we couldn't activate it, operationalize it. Students have written to me, sir, does it stand for this year also? I said, yes, it stands for this year also, provided we can travel during summers or whenever. So it is that GDP is a different kettle of fish in that while you are there in that semester, they are abroad during that semester. Entire course. You are under my MOU. There's student mobility, there's faculty mobility, there's joint projects, and also there's summer schools. So when we have this whole system, where was summer schools, if you are doing well, you get a scholarship. Otherwise, you can go on a subsidized way to as a group. So some of my photographs you saw, Singapore photograph, Milan photograph, uh, the whole team's students go spend 15 days in any university, see 3-4 universities as part of a international trip or a foreign field visit. Field visits, uh, we are still trying a few. On the online, we got a lot of internships. So interior design students got internships in Singapore, in Dubai, some parts of Europe, where some of our faculty are products or they are alumni of Marangoni, they are of SCAD, some have Instituto Marangoni in Milan, some are Domus. So the faculty is also very well connected. The faculty who have done their masters in SPG in Italy, who have done in Coventry, who have done in DMU. Our president itself is the product of De Montfort University, Leicester, UK. So when from top things come, the spread is such that there's enough of internationality and global thought leaders and students. I think what I've learned is the students who are the guide for all these foreigners or these university chancellors who come. There's a lot of learning on how, and they become and they get to know and this contact and the networking. Design is not one thing. Design is not classroom. Design is the whole ecosystem.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I will take the last 2 or 3 questions because we're running out of
And
time.
Dion, you can, I'll ask Gopal to share my number and my email.
Okay.
If there are any questions anyone wants, I'll be able to give them an answer, especially GDP, integrated masters, internationality, or even anything for that matter. They can put it across, or someone from you can take out parts of the chat box, send it to me. Just wait for within 3-4 days to get an answer.
All right. All right. All right. Yeah, so I think we have covered pretty much all the questions. There are last few remaining. Melinda is asking, Ragini has asked, are electives offered in subjects other than the ones of specialization? I think that question has been answered earlier, right in the beginning. All right, so I think you do have electives to choose from. Melinda is asking, how are hands-on learning?
Dion, I just want to clarify. If anyone means, of course, you're too young to know all this. When you are a university, when you are approved under the AIU, that Association of Indian Universities, that's a booklet where they connect you with all the international universities. When you're part of UGC, choice-based credit system has to be inculcated in your curriculum. So at each stage of our curriculum, you have choices of majors and electives. So no design happens when there's a core subject and there's an elective subject. And we have to have people, infrastructure, faculty, and staffing to accommodate you so that you become a very holistic designer. Not only, as I said, the T always stands. You are looking at a very core as your development, but also there's a lot of peripheral design. Why do I have a foundation which is mixed? I'll give you the answer for this mystery. Why do we not have PD, Product Design Foundation, or some other foundation? What is the thought behind it? You have to understand. We mix you up. No section is only product, sections are mixed up. We want you to be lifelong friends. You know that when you're putting up your prototype, the box of the prototype, so you ask a visual communication student to help you. You ask a fashion designer, ask an interior designer student, a fashion stylist knows that what type of furniture will look good, what are the prop stills. So at there's a huge requirement of growing up to be a holistic designer when you have core subjects and electives, so that then also in design there's another great thing called open electives. You can take 2 credit modules or non-credit modules from the School of Law to understand what is IPR, what is the laws by which you as a designer entrepreneur can protect your IPR. You have a business plan, but what better if a doctor or a great faculty from the School of Business teaches you that? If you have an interest in certain things of history, culture, why not a faculty of liberal arts teaches you, who are in sociology, such subjects they are masters of literature, sociology, and other subjects. So that's the greatness of coming to a transdisciplinary campus. We have written about it also, and this is my first time to express it within design, outside design, because we want you to make a very holistic designer who understands various aspects. I think that question, I think I've been able to answer.
Absolutely. Okay. Um, right. So Melinda's asking, how's hands-on learning and project-based learning going to be handled at an online mode?
Yeah. So, Melinda,
Especially
there's
for
something.
vocational batch.
Yeah. So when someone looks at online, there's a word called blended learning, and there's something called HBO, hybrid learning online. What is online today can become hybrid if certain amount of material is there with you. At the high level, of course, you need infrastructure, you need all that we have shown you. We are 3D printing. We have got 18 pieces. We have from sandblaster to everything is there once you come to campus. You go through the entire 3D. You have got various types of materials for AR, VR, XR, which is so important. You have a wonderful metal workshop, you have a wonderful workshop. But it will be wrong if I tell you that that type of hands-on which can happen in campus can happen today in India and many parts of the world when you are at home. The maximum we can do, or what we do, is that when we beam the classroom from inside the campus, it mimics quite a lot as if it is a student. The blended part is that as and when we open up, maybe we will start with having students in campus for 3 days in a week or 2 days in a week, or make it such that you can come at interspersed so that we look at all the protocols uh, as was existing pre-March 21 and post-June, July 20. There's a good time, and which today we are cursing that we didn't use that time well, where you could do much better than the initial lockdown period. So those days are going to come. So then there's something in the Blackboard, and we have these discussions. HyFlex. HyFlex is a system where various softwares can integrate with your online. So we are lucky to be one of the few Adobe digital academies. So all students get a very subsidized rate of all the Adobe CCE. It costs nearly 19 to 20,000 outside. Our students get it between 4 to 3,000 to 5,000. You have SolidWorks for 6 years. It's a trans. So first, what was working only in the campus, we have opened it out. You can do it at home. Yes, the smell, the wood, all that we'll have to work that. Once the campus opens out, you can work till 11 o'clock at night. The faculty are there, the staff are there, and also this whole period of 2020 batches, even when they pass out, they come to campus and we have allotted time for them. So within the means, I have to be honest, transparent, see what can happen. Huge technology inputs can get into things which mimic to some extent, but will never be the same as hands-on. But there are various means, innovations, improvisations, repurposing. Suppose you have to make a garment, let's say, and you have an old garment. You can deconstruct it, and your faculty can show you how to construct it. So at least you're getting some of the learning outcomes. You're not getting a finished product. You're getting some of the learning outcomes. Some learning is happening against no learning, which cannot happen through a Zoom or Google Meet, but it can happen in the LMS because there's a synchronous and the asynchronous. Your classes, your material are already pre-fed. You can consume it at will, like a Coursera program or upgrade program. These are parts. So you have BB Learn. You can look at your lesson plan. You can look at the assessment. You can look at quizzes to improve yourself. You can consume it anytime. But through BB Collaborate, you're having regular classes between 9 to 5. Then there are breakout rooms where 5 people are sitting down as if they were in class and stuff. So there are limits, but I will be wrong if I say that it can replicate. These are some of the issues with design learning, but as and when things are in a better keel, we'll be able to keep things open as never before.
All right. Cool. So I think that's answered. All right. Now I'll just go down to the next questions. There's a question from Omisha. Could you give an example of which departments of companies students have been placed? Like if they get into a company through placement, which departments do they get into usually?
Okay. This is a question we have to prove to anyone who's coming. So there's a whole placement record. Gopal, if you can share with Dion, he can share with others. Since this is, I can't show immediately, but I've shown it somewhere in my PPT. Let me try and show something of TSD. Just a second. Yeah. So just show it to them that it is not department per se. All departments, when you get into Manish Malhotra or you get into Arvind brand, so that is fashion and textiles. When you get into tech companies, Tata and XC, you get into some tech companies which are looking at designers, whether it's Capgemini, whether it's Deloitte, others, because they have to look at projects. Now, what is happening? A company's profile is also changing. They have to branch out into various sectors so that they have a good business plan. So they need designers whenever they are looking at anything in the creative. So whether it's industrial design, interior design, fashion design, lifestyle accessories. That is something which is more entrepreneurial because you are a jeweler, you look at leather and you look at ceramics. So without giving that there's any one, but yes, visual communication is what is called all-weather because they work the best in this pandemic time because their ammunition and their thing was their laptop or let's say their Apple, where they could go through and discuss and do even better than normal times because there's not a huge demand. Now, let me give you another example because we keep having these discussions with UK, USA, Canada, our friends in Australia. While many thought that this time of COVID is going to make things shrink everything, UK today has had the largest recruitment of faculty, knowing fully well there will be a surge of students from across the world coming in September 21. When things will be better, people will be double jabbed. Some of the virus mutations will have ceased, etc., etc. So they are similarly, those days are going to come the moment 40, 50, 60%. Look at Israel, look at Bhutan. These are some stellar examples, sterling examples where they could contain something and look at the future. People are no more wearing masks, they are roaming around, restaurants are opened, etc. So while we live on hope, we also live on the fact that most of the things, there'll be a surge. India from minus is looking at an 18% GDP, 17.8 to be. So there are, amongst this doom, there's there's not only green shoots, there's bright streaks of light, and all of a sudden consumption will rise. If you go down to history, the similar thing happened, and I'm sure the same thing will happen.
All right. So
But
if we can,
I'll share
yeah,
all the companies. I'll share all the companies through CSD. And if my PPT is there, it is exactly mimicking where our students are going in bulk. And I'll share that PPT.
sure. Now, I think we've completely run out of time. We were supposed to end at 4 o'clock. It's almost sorry, 5 o'clock. So it's almost 6 o'clock now. So I don't want to extend this too much. Um, but quickly, if we can answer a couple of questions. Omisha is asking, what is the student-teacher ratio?
Yeah. Obisha, you asked us a question which is much beyond your years to some extent. I'll give you the fact that in any analysis, any, you can't find a better. I do means I'm not saying because I belong to UID or I'm at some helm of some place in UID or part of Karnataka University. It is very, very seldom that you have so many faculty for students. We have 175 if we count. Only dedicated faculty permanent is about 120, and leave aside the adjunct and visiting faculty who are niche and they teach products. In design, anything 1:15, 1:12 is good enough. We are 1:6.7, which is, I think, can be taken as a record. There are classes where there are 2 or 3 faculty, 2 lead faculty and 1 co-faculty in the classroom, because of what is called experiential learning. You are never learning like a horseshoe shaped MBA class. There's a faculty who has got a smart classroom, and like a horseshoe, which is going many higher, you see in Harvard, you see in many other colleges. It is not like that. It's a very flat structure. Faculty and groups are learning. Groups of 10, 12 doing a project, then the next group comes and meets that faculty in another large corner. You see our classrooms, huge, huge classrooms. Not a single classroom is small. It can accommodate at least up to 60 to 80 students, but we have a limit of 35 to 40 students in the class. So in this aspect, I don't think I have much to say, in the sense that I think we have one of the best faculty-student ratio in this country.
Absolutely, that's amazing. I think 1:6.7 is an amazing ratio. Another question on the similar line: how many students will be there in each class for each specialization? So this is a question from
So
Sharanya.
I just explained that, because of so many students wanting to study. So against an application base about 7,000 to 8,000 applications which come, we take only 420 students against maybe, but we have to go back to UGC and ask for certain extensions. The NRI and the ones, these are all extension questions which we have to take permission from the government, from the education, because the principal secretary of education government of Gujarat is head of our university governing council. So at times we have to take, because of So many ways people want to, not only in India, but people from outside India also want to join UID. So a benchmark ballpark figure is that in masters, we don't exceed more than 20 in a classroom. Come hell or high water, we try to maintain between 16 to 20 in masters, because masters is masters. You need dedicated students, you need mature students who are looking at the jobs immediately after doing the masters. For undergraduate, a class size varies between 35 to 40. And even if the cohort size is more, the section size never increases more than 35.
Okay. And the final question I would like to ask here. Multiple people have asked this regarding communication design. All right. Now I'm going to break this up. What is the difference between UI UX and interaction design? Number one. And could you brief us about the communication design program at
Okay.
UID? Yeah.
Okay. So let me first look at the School of Communication Design. The learning outcomes, the type of jobs you get after doing communication is there in the brochure. I'm not going to repeat that. A very large part, and so if anyone asks me what are your flagship program, I would say product design and communication design are my flagships. I think I'm one of the best in India. There are only one or two who can say they can compete with me as far as communication design goes. Why? Because I've got some of the best faculty, 30, 37 years, ex-NIDians, ex from IDC, ex from international universities are part of our communication. So the prime and the maximum course and maximum students, and how do you judge it? The type of jobs they get, the type of work they do is visual communication graphics. And visual communication graphics from a brochure to a website to, and these things they do even when they're in the classroom, to joining ad companies, to looking at infrastructure projects, to look at what is called wayfinding, signages, bookbinding. So there's an entire world, and they, I think, you can't do without a communicator, and you can't do anything without a visual communication in today's world where everything is so visual. The impact of infographics itself is so hard that none of them, they can choose between 3, 4 companies which they want to join. So that's a, let's say, called a no-brainer. The next is animation and motion graphics, where you make short animation clips. So when we had the Ahmedabad Design Week, and the government of Gujarat, because it involved the government of Gujarat, involved IITs, all the IITs, it turned all the NIDs and all the NITs. And you can see I'm not saying something if you look at that. Based on the success of Ahmedabad Design Week, we were pulled in to be the only people of Toy Fair, India Toy Fair, which was virtual, inaugurated by the president, led by the Ministry of Textiles. Town hall, which I was along with Pradnya Vyas, ex-director NID, and presidents of all the world organizations, inaugurated by scientist Professor Mashelka, had a screen presence of 4,000. The Pro Vice Chancellor of Parsons, who is also the president of Cumulus, wrote in her blog that this is the largest screen presence she's ever been anywhere in the world. So, who are the back end? A lot of students from visual communication who are doing caricatures, mannequins. So the whole character animation came out of them by 2 students. A student has won 1 lakh rupees as award, and another student, because there were many design challenges based on ADW, Ahmedabad Design Week 2021, in the virtual mode, and also India Toy Fair. So a lot of these are worth caricatures, and at the animation, you become an animator, you become a character animator, you can do films, etc., etc. Now this is that part which is communication design. Then the interaction design comes under School of Industrial Design. But it is a mixed course where a lot of faculty from the School of Communication Design also teach. UI UX is something which sits in both. Industrial design works a lot on UI UX because experience. So when my cousin who is there in UI UX at Adobe in San Francisco, and he did some training abroad and some training in India. So that's a company which is looking at UI UX from a communication designer's perspective. But when the chairman or the boss of Tata Elxsi, Gate, who took a masterclass just 3 days back for our industrial design students, he is looking at UI UX from interaction design point of view. So that is the area which sits more with industrial design because from ergonomics, things have moved into how the user experience is mapped, how you make your systems, how you make so system design, interaction design, UI UX, these are all part of the toolkit of a industrial design. But there are some mappings, whether it's social ethnographic mapping, semiotics mapping, it is other also has a great role for the communication design. So to explain this, I can send the curriculum is the best way to look at it because certain amounts, since it's a little bit that both in the UI UX frame, high-tech companies are also looking at UI UX, very niche industrial designers who are making products are also looking at UI UX, and therefore the interaction design has become such a big thing today. How long it is sustainable? Again, if we go back to other areas where things are more into mechanical engineering, more into very strong areas of design and a mix of both, that only time will tell. But the interaction design, knowing that there's a huge amount of understanding geometry, understanding analytics, analytical drawing, and the growth of an industrial designer makes this a very good area, and a lot of students have gone into UI UX.
All right. I think it's been a good session, and we've handled almost every question. Thank you so much, Colonel Bose, for patiently answering and all these questions. If anyone has more questions to answer, you could more questions to ask. You could have sent this the email address here, admissions@uniteddesign.com. Please do write to them directly, and I absolutely hope that this session has been good for you all. All right, all the best. Everyone can exit this webinar, and I would just request Colonel Bose and Gopal to stay back. All right.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Rest of
Yeah.
you all can.
My
Thank you.
little bit of apology that you couldn't see those videos, but the videos were very they could bring things, but I'm sure he'll share this link with you all, and you can see it at your will at home to see some tremendous amount of high tech which we have brought, and therefore we call ourselves integrated design. In integrated design is the future of UID and the future of design education.
Yeah, and on those lines, when I talk to my students and parents, one of the key things I say is why a design school exists in the first place, right? And there are these certain schools that look at a future need in the market, and they prepare. They are there to solve future needs in the market, and those are the schools which have the real vision. And I do see UID in that particular category, not only in that category, a leader in that category. So I think it's a brilliant choice. Thanks a lot once again, and thank you all for attending. So everyone can exit this webinar right now, and we can take it from there. All right, sure. Just 1 second. Thank you so much. Just 1 second. Okay, so there are a few more people remaining. Y'all can exit. Oh, Ranu is there as well. I'm going to make Ranu a panelist. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Tejas is the last one to leave. Tejas, you can exit as well. Just a second. All right, all right. So thanks a lot, Colonel Bose, for coming. So it was a nice session. Unfortunately, I had to end this. There was one or two questions remaining, but I couldn't take that anymore. We had to end it. But those are not very serious questions, so it's okay. All right. But good, about almost 66 people registered for this, and maybe about 57 attended. So that's quite a good turnout. But all of these are pretty seriously considering UID, every one of them, right?
Amazing.
So let's see what happens.
So, John, even after some time, if there are some people who are at the edge, you can have another thing. And let's see if that Zoom, because we'll have to get over this part. Because if you set the trend with a video, that's most impactful in their mind. So we'll see how to get over this.
Sure. I think we have 3 Zoom accounts, and all 3 are being used right now. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's why I had to move to this. But anyway, we'll look at that next time. I think we'll see what happens. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
And once
Thank
again,
you.
sir, as Devam sir, once again, as Bose had also mentioned it earlier, so you can probably get in touch with him also for any specific queries that students may
Yeah,
have.
especially integrated. I've got a small
Exactly.
write-up on global design as also integrated, because sometimes people want to know more and more and more. So we can answer
Okay.
some of those queries, and you can send your chat box. I'll find out how to give proper answers to each of them, so that they feel assured that they are interested.